It was a midnight game slide. I had to pull up, get right. A stick and move on the west side. Cause you know you give me the best high. Ay.
First of all, thank you so much for your participation on Sweet Life LA. Love the show, love everything you guys bring to it. And you guys are very, very much couple goals. So I wanted to make sure that I got that out. I'm going to go ahead and start with Cheryl. You're relatively new to the friend group, but it seems like they welcomed you with open arms. I won't get too much into the most recent episode, but I do want to know what has being a part of this newer friend group done for you as of late.
You mean newer friend group as far as like the ladies, right? Okay. For me, I don't know, going into it, like I'm kind of a very like guarded person. I don't know, being at this age, mid-20s, girls are kind of cliquey. So I feel like it's kind of hard to like find your way into like a new girl group. But for me, I don't know, it's cool learning more about, you know, the other women and women that I don't know that well. You know, I have friends that I've known for like so long, but it was kind of cool to like get to know, you know, other ladies with other perspectives and doing different things. So, yeah.
And even though things aren't all the way 100% at all the times, we all hold each other accountable, and it's just lovely to see. We also get to see you guys both progress in your relationship and take significant steps. And personally, I must say it is refreshing to know that other couples go through things like this at this time in our lives. Jerrold, can you talk about, I guess, what that transition has been like, making that move with Cheryl, and what you're hoping viewers can learn from seeing you guys progress in your relationship?
I'm hoping viewers can learn that it's a marathon, not a sprint. I feel like a lot of what you saw on TV is what you saw on TV in those 30-minute episodes. You know, you hear that we've been together for 8 years and I haven't moved in yet. But what you don't know is that those 8 years include a year of high school, 4 years of college, where we went to different colleges, where I was playing basketball and Cheryl was mastering her craft. 3 years after college, where I was trying to figure out my career, Cheryl was trying to figure out her career, and Cheryl wanted to live on her own because, you know, I had the chance to go and live on campus at college, and Cheryl didn't get that opportunity. So she moved out of her parents' house and wanted to live on her own. So I feel like, you know, a lot of people, you know, they hear the 8 years, but they don't really understand the journey that those 8 years have been. We're two completely different people from when we first met to where we are now. And just the fact that we've been able to last these 8 years and grow together, like we started here and here we are, we've met, you know, 8 years later. And that's the true blessing. I will say living with Cheryl has been so much easier than my overthinking self probably thought it was going to be. It's great to, I was just joking with PJ and Jordan because we were on a call and they were talking about like, dang, Jerrold, you look so good, you know, in the screen. I'm like, well, you know, I got to wake up to Cheryl every day and compete with that face. So that's always tough, but nah, it's been great. You know, it has its challenges, as with, you know, does living with anybody, as we're trying to figure each other out and figure out, you know, how best to handle things as a unit in our household, but it's been amazing.
Oh my goodness, that's such a pleasure to hear. And you made such a good point. I think that not only is it a marathon, but everyone's experiences are different. We would never know that you wanted to live on your own at first and you didn't get that experience. I could relate to that 100%. I was an artist. Oh, I didn't have that blessing. I'm still in my parents' house. Like that's definitely not relevant right now. I'm just talking about myself.
Yeah.
The point is, it's such a refreshing thing to hear and see that, you know, other people go through things too, but y'all can make it out in the end. Lovely progression in the relationship, progression also in you guys' careers and endeavors. Cheryl, we most recently seen you do a photo shoot for your brand and your clothing line. Can you talk about that and the progression of it and what you feel like, I guess, this new friend group or involvement in Sweet Life can show about your brand, just growing in that while being here?
for me, having my brand on TV, that was first off amazing. Second of all, that was my biggest photo shoot I've had thus far. Like all the models, I've never had that many looks at once, and trying to get that all, together and on point for the photo shoot. It was stressed, but I love the way it came out. For me, it's very important to show, different body types, different skin tones, just everything under the sun, very inclusive. And I'm very genuine about that with my brand. A lot of brands try to do this because it's trending. And like, for me, I just want to make it a point where like, no, this is what we should all be doing across the board. I don't like brands that are just very exclusive and are trying to make other women feel like they shouldn't be in their clothes or XYZ. Like for me, I want everybody in my clothes. So I hope that's like the takeaway. And just having the other women on the cast be a part of that moment for me was very important. And it was an amazing time.
You progressing and being successful, but Black women supporting Black women and everyone else being there to be a part of it. Kudos to you. And the clothes look gorgeous. But I have to cop.
Thank you. So. Posting them later.
yeah. And Jerrold, you too, with the podcast. In one of the most recent episodes, you did have your podcast featuring some of the other gentlemen, and you guys opened up a bit about mental health and about how it specifically pertains to Black men. Can you talk about the importance of that, and I guess what Sweet Life's role may have played in showcasing that, using it as a platform?
Yeah, I will say my podcast in general, the reason I created it, because when I was done playing basketball in college and was trying to figure out what my next career path was going to be, I didn't necessarily see many examples of people that had spent so much time doing one thing, trying to pivot into others. So for one, my podcast is all about, having conversations and creating a space for people to hear about things or see things that they don't often hear about, in today's society. And in the conversation that we had on the show, I mean, me personally, I cried on TV. I'm not a crier, Cheryl will tell you, but like throughout the show, we see, not just myself, but, Jordan, PJ, Kofi, Jalen, Rob, we see all of us open up on a level that most Black men, aren't typically comfortable doing, and you especially don't see it on TV. So we really wanted to use my podcast, being what it is and being everything that Sweet Life has been, as far as like showing young Black people doing things that, we're most often not seen doing. That's what we wanted the podcast to be, was for it to be a space where we can openly talk about those things, and use that platform to do so. With any podcast and conversation and dialogue, things get heated, but that's not even relevant to the podcast. That won't even be on the podcast. I wasn't even recording that entire altercation, but just using the space for what it was and the conversation that we did have. I'm very proud and very thankful for the show, for being able to create that platform for everybody to see.
Absolutely. And I think that regardless of how heated it may get, it's a conversation that needed to be had more than likely.
Right.
I think both parties probably came out of it with a more open mind.
And they did. You saw that they even though they had an altercation that day, they were able to link up later and talk through the issue and get down to the real reason why both of them felt, the ways that they felt. They both, at the end of the day, it was a dialogue. They both had very strong opinions, felt very strong about the things that they were saying. And that's what I was hoping for my podcast to do, is maybe not in an argument, but for people to have conversations and to be able to be open with each other and understand each other.
Absolutely. And before we wrap it up, I was doing a thing where I kind of asked most of the cast members, what advice would you give to other people who may be in your shoes, young, of color, trying to figure out their life, trying to figure out their career path, their relationship. Basically, I think that Sweet Life does a great job at seeing or showing other people who just are figuring it out. So what advice would you give to other people like yourselves who are trying to figure it out?
For me, and I'll keep saying this, is to just do whatever you're trying to do. Like, don't let you being a perfectionist get in the way, or like your own thoughts in your head. You're your worst critic. And I had to learn that as well. Like, girl, just do that shit. If it's not perfect, you'll figure it out. Like, you'll progress, you'll get better. Like, that's the thing. Just do it.
I'll probably say live your life as if it's yours. I feel like in the show we see especially in our friendships and relationships. We see that not everybody is always going to be on the same page, and you got to be comfortable standing in your opinions and knowing that people are going to stand in theirs, and understanding that that's how the world works. But at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you, and people are going to do what's best for them, and you're all going to be better for it, because nobody like nobody is going to be the best you but you. So live your life for you.
Such great advice. Great advice. Well, I don't know if there is a season 2 locked and loaded, but I am hoping and
Maybe.
I genuinely am. But thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. I appreciate it so much. And talking with you guys has been very enlightening. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you for
thanks for
having
having
us.
us.
It was a midnight game slide. I had to pull up, get mad.